Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. We've got a full preview of WWE Survivor Series, including our top 5 Survivor Series moments on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime, which starts right now.
Number 1 since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web. This is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, Friday, November 20th. I don't know how to say 20 in Spanish.
23.
So are you Spanish now?
No, that's what it was.
Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero and the man they call Meathead tonight. It is a full preview of this Sunday's WWE Survivor Series on pay-per-view. In addition to that, we're going to share with you our top 5 Survivor Series moments. Let's go first, though, into this Sunday night's card, the Survivor Series on pay-per-view. A couple of traditional Survivor Series matchups are back, 3 of them as far as we know right now. First of which would be Team Morrison going up against Team Miz. The participants on Team Morrison are obviously John Morrison, Matt Hardy, Evan Bourne, Shelton Benjamin, and Finlay. Going up against Team Miz, which includes The Miz, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, and Jack Swagger. 2 interesting teams. The match. Your thoughts on the match?
I think the match will be entertaining. A bunch of young guys
It's flying all over the place.
just trying to get to that next level by proving to the office that they are superstars and that they deserve to be there. I'm going with Team Miz. Jack Swagger.
You're going to pick a winner. I didn't think... I'm not ready to pick a winner in that matchup.
Really?
Any of them, really. Any of the Survivor Series matchups, the traditional matchups?
Got to go with Team Miz.
Well,
Why?
there's heat on Team Miz because Miz
Jack
and
Swagger.
Swagger have an issue with each other.
Drew McIntyre.
Who?
Yeah, you know, what's his name? Drew
Who?
McIntyre.
I thought it was because The Miz was awesome.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you got to look at guys like Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Jack Swagger, Young Lions. Kind of got screwed last month. It's their time. It's their time to shine.
Meathead, your thoughts?
Team Morrison, just for the hair and abs.
You're gonna be wrong again.
No.
Another traditional Survivor Series matchup, Team Mickey versus Team McCool.
Team Arby's versus Team Florida State.
Mickey James, Eve Torres, Kelly, Melina, and Gail Kim up against, on the other side of the ring, Michelle McCool, Jillian Hall, Beth Phoenix, Layla, and Alicia Fox. Meathead, your thoughts?
Well, because Alicia Fox bumps like Kurt Hennig, she'll probably take all the bumps in a match because she's the best worker out of the 10 girls. So that means their team's going to win.
Dave Hero.
I hate to admit it, but you're right. And yeah, I'm going with Team McCool.
Might as well just rename it Team Fox.
Well, plus they got Layla.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, we're going to say it.
Traditional Survivor Series match, Team Kofi. Comprised of Kofi Kingston, Mark Henry, MVP, R-Truth, and
You know what?
ECW
Can we
champion
just
Christian.
roll back for a second?
Yeah.
Do
Do we need to use the Wayback Machine?
Yeah,
Okay.
do that. I'm willing to say that Gail Kim is going to cost her team that match.
Little heel.
A la Jericho at Survivor Series 2001?
I see it coming, yeah.
You can see clearly now, huh?
I can see clearly that it'll be like Gail
Wasn't
Kim
even ready.
and Kelly, the last 2 on their side. Maybe Alicia Fox and Beth Phoenix on their side. And Gail Kim, hate to say it, I smell a heel turn coming.
Okay, back to you were saying.
The
Kofi Orton.
Team Orton, comprised of Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, Sir William Regal, and CM Punk. Obviously, huge names in that matchup. Dave Hero, your thoughts on that traditional Survivor Series match?
Boy, here's where the first 2 matches I picked were the heels going over. Now you got to go with the baby faces. And,
Team Kofi. Well, Team
Kofi.
Domination. Nation of Domination.
What,
You know
because
what?
they're black?
You know what? Yeah.
Oh, with Christian?
Here's why.
Christian's Owen?
Christian's Owen.
Stop it. You know what? Let me tell you this. I truly did not like on Raw 2 weeks ago when Randy Orton told Kofi, MVP, and Mark Henry to go back to the hood.
But you
I thought that crossed the line.
You realize we're watching wrestling, which
No,
It's an
perpetuates.
PG-rated show.
But it perpetuates stereotypes. It's been
Great, you
doing
can
it.
perpetuate them, but when you make an insulting statement as that was,
Mhm.
I don't think
It is
the
offensive.
connotations that go with it were completely, in my opinion,
It's-
too far.
Absolutely offensive.
As offensive, I think, as you sitting here saying, both of you sitting here saying that
It's reminding,
Nation.
it's reminiscent of the Nation. They got one of
Think
the
they
original
get Wolfie
guys
D
in
back?
there. They got, one of the originals, Mark Henry, in there.
Yeah,
that
and
is true.
and look at the ECW champion. We talked about this on the radio show a couple weeks ago. The ECW champion is buried amongst the rest of them. The guy's holding a belt compared to everybody else who's not holding a belt.
I think he's a token.
Yeah, token, exactly.
Wow.
And those condemnations or whatever.
That was a play on the earlier conversation regarding the inappropriate comment on Raw last week, in my opinion.
I think you're having a vernacular hubris.
I seriously think, knowing WWE, I think Christian's in that match for the reason that everyone else is
Absolutely.
African American. I think that's the only reason he's in
Absolutely,
that
that's
match.
100%.
Because Tony Ellis is retired.
Well, Sheldon Benjamin, the other one, is in a different matchup.
The other one.
Yeah, see, you're the one
You still got
perpetuating.
Crime Time.
I'm speaking. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, where are they? Are they in that hot tag team division?
They're supposed to be in the dark match between them.
Oh, big
and
wide because they're black.
We're gonna get shut down.
No,
tonight.
because it isn't televised. Unbelievable.
I'm going with Team Kofi.
I'm sorry, Cal. What? Yeah, they're fine. You can let them in. Already, Sharpton and Jackson have called.
I'm calling Leckwell.
They're on their
Russell.
way down.
It's
They were
because
in
of
Milwaukee
Sharpton
already.
and Jackson that we're late.
Yeah.
Oh God Almighty! I don't. You're. What are you
I'm trying
doing
to help
me?
you. I'm trying to save you, getting you away.
I thought
from
Bret
that.
Hart was pure evil.
No, I'm just
There are
honest.
layers of you getting peeled back.
Layers
And
of
you're like an
parfait,
onion. The
or
more you
layers of
peel,
onion.
the more you stink.
Everyone likes a parfait. Parfaits have layers.
Team Kofi or Team Orton?
I said Kofi.
Team domination.
The Kofi Nation.
Bam. Done.
Rey Mysterio versus Batista. David Earl.
There'll be some emotion in
You
this
know
match,
what?
right?
Ray
Dave?
Ray wants to leave. What better way to send Ray Ray out than have Batista just squash him?
Meet
I'm gonna give it the 5-minute prediction. Batista crushes Ray in 5. No, you know what? They're gonna milk. You're right. They're gonna milk that.
It's a lot
5
of
times
t-shirts to
3.
sell.
Hey,
You gotta
5
sell a lot
times
of
3.
masks,
5
you know?
times 3.
No, but keep in mind, how many Survivor Series matches are there? 3? Those are each a half hour to 40 minutes.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
They're almost better off at putting Ray in.
And you got 2 triple threats. All these are going to go long.
And they are as follows. First, for the World Heavyweight Championship, The Undertaker defends his title up against Chris Jericho and The Big Show. And a 3-way dance for that belt, Dave Hero.
Undertaker.
Meet it.
It's Undertaker, but I'm kind of happy that this is really a new match for us. I mean, if you think about it, Big Show has gone against The Undertaker, but Jericho hasn't, for the title in a main event. This is a new match for us. I'm kind of
Who's the babyface? Big Show or Jericho?
it would end up being between the two of them because Taker's the babyface in the match.
No, I didn't ask about Taker.
Right, but between the team,
Yeah.
you would have to go Big Show.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah,
I
what's
don't have
wrong
an
with you?
opinion.
WWE Championship will be on the line as John Cena defends his title against HBK and Triple H, D-Generation X. Meathead, your thoughts?
John Cena comes out with issues between HBK and Triple H.
David Earl.
Shawn Michaels.
Really?
Shawn Michaels.
The last time he won the belt, he was wearing those doo-doo brown pants in that elimination chamber.
Shawn Michaels.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that why Triple H chases Shawn Michaels for the belt to
No, just
WrestleMania?
something different.
It's not different.
Would you rather see John Cena with the belt?
Don't care.
Would you rather see Triple H with the belt?
Don't care.
I'd rather see Shawn Michaels.
No.
After all the crap he took from that little girl in catering, he deserves to be rewarded.
But he kicked her! How appropriate is
Well,
that?
She deserved it.
No, she didn't. The little girl doesn't deserve to be kicked.
There was somebody taking video of it while it was happening, though, so...
Yeah, and no one tried to stop it either. That's the amazing.
Hey now!
that is the WWE Survivor Series this Sunday on pay-per-view. Now let's go over what we have determined and deemed our top five Survivor Series moments of all time. In no order, just the 5 most memorable moments as far as we're concerned. And we'll start with you, Meathead.
You know, we were talking about this pre-show, trying to, decide where we wanted to be, and one of my favorite
I wanted to
five,
be in Hawaii, but that was
one of my 5 moments of Survivor Series history isn't a match. It isn't a, something that happened at a show. It was the fact that I used to get the tape just a couple days after the Survivor Series happened. When it was simulcast, and I get the tape from my aunt and uncle. I was able to go home and watch wrestling. I thought that was the coolest thing. So that's one of my Survivor Series moments.
David Hero.
That was a Hallmark moment, just so you know.
So what?
No, I agree.
All right.
For me, Team Andre versus Team Hogan, the very first Survivor Series. Something new, something pretty wild.
Bobby!
You got to see matchups you never would have seen before. Bam Bam versus Andre. You had, Bundy was in there, and Don Morocco, and Kenny Patera, and Rick Rude. A good roster.
The Rude Brood?
Oh, that was down the road.
Yeah.
I would say one of mine would come from recent memory, which would be Edge's big return at last year's Survivor Series. It was just well executed, very well done. And then Jeff Hardy's surprise appearance as well at that event after being taken out in the stairwell the night before. Good.
Was that
good
the pay-per-view where Edge showed up like he just came down from the mountain?
I believe it was, yes.
Like a woolly mammoth.
Yeah, that pay-per-view had a lot going on. And that would be one of the top 5 Survivor Series moments as far as I am concerned. Man, they call me there.
Another one of my favorite moments, and this is probably on Damien's list, but it was Survivor Series 98. Seeing Vince McMahon in a wheelchair, tip his glasses down. This superstar! And then he
Introducing
went off.
Gilbert.
Yeah, Dwayne Gill. It was the tournament to get a brand new heavyweight champion.
It was also the Shane 1, 2.
And that'll be blurred out, of course.
Yeah, I gave a
I
thumb.
didn't do it.
I gave a thumb.
I didn't do it. I went like this.
Okay, don't get hot about it.
And it was a long pay-per-view, by the way.
It was great.
It was actually a very, very well
Al
done
Snow
show.
versus Jeff Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea which way that match was going to go.
It was a good
Boss
show.
Man and Taker.
Very good show.
And also, you know who else was in that tournament? He's a man, such a man.
Count him, damn it!
My moment, Rock over Foley. Rock
Same
over
event?
Mankind. Yeah,
Same pay-per-view.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a great pay-per-view.
Oh,
Who saw that
so
coming?
Mick, you don't get it, huh? Well, get this.
That was great.
I was at that event when we walked in the arena. I was still a bit of a fan. It was the first year of this show.
A little
Well,
bit
let me
of
stop.
time.
Sorry, for a bit of a mark who believed things that happened on TV. I walked in, and for whatever reason, they let us in the building. St. Louis's Kiel Center, now called Who Cares Center. Vince McMahon was walking around with Pat Patterson in the empty venue, but he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It was really
You were
surprising
hurt?
to me. He had a banner moved.
Well, he
That's
has to
about all that.
stretch. Pre-show stretch.
How many people? We should do that. The top 10 uses of the wheelchair and or neck brace gimmick.
Oh,
Bobby
if you're
Heenan-
involved in
Bobby
a
Heenan,
neck
number 1.
brace, what if we involved like the ribs taping? That could go
that's no
forever.
fun. That was wrestlers. I like it.
DDP
There's
was
always
taped on the
managers
ribs for how
involved.
many years?
Bob Orton wore a cast forever.
Yeah.
He had a great cast. No, Owen had a great cast. So Dave Hero, good point there. Rock over McFoley, Survivor Series
Well, and
1998.
all of our number 4s, same pay-per-view.
Not mine.
No,
Actually,
Okay.
that one did not
Well,
quite
remember,
make the
we're
list.
not numbering it. I apologize.
That one didn't quite make the list. However, it was a
'Cause you
very
forgot about
memorable.
it.
It was a very memorable event. No, it did not make the list. David
All right.
Hero. Next, for me, would be the first Elimination Chamber in 2002. Shawn Michaels, after coming back in SummerSlam in that great match up against Triple H, that street fight rather, then goes on to the Survivor Series in 2002, wins the world title, I believe it was, in his first, in the first Elimination Chamber matchup. Confetti everywhere, Madison Square Garden, I believe
And
it
those
was.
Dookie Brown
It was a great
tights.
event, great event. So that's next on my list.
That was a match that was created by Eric Bischoff. I
Uncle
believe,
Eric.
right? Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one, and Meathead, the turn is yours.
Well, 2001, when Invasion and, the WCW talent and the ECW talent started bleeding into WWF, that's where it ended. Invasion pay-per-view was July, I believe?
Mhm.
Okay. You had the Alliance, you had, the WWF, you had ECW thrown in a mix, you had Stone Cold, you had all these other different things. You got to see everybody that you've been rooting for over the last, 4 or 5 years from different companies, all basically on the same pay-per-view. I mean, it was kind of like a super mega pay-per-view. That's where Shane and Steph lost control.
Survivor Series 2000.
That was also the last time Paul Heyman was doing play-by-play. He was removed the next night by Jerry the King Lawler.
He was, as was Ric Flair announced as the person who had purchased into the consortium. Shane and Stephanie came back and begged for their jobs back, and Vince McMahon said to Stephanie, "Security, get this woman out of my ring."
Mm-hmm.
That's a great DVD, Survivor Series 2001, because all that is on it, by the way, if you haven't seen those moments.
Even the Raw
that's
after?
Well, those clips from the Raw
Sure.
after. I think there was an ass-kissing that night as well.
William Regal?
It might have been. Might have been.
He was the first
So that was the first member of the Kiss My Ass Club.
He was the first member. It may have been that night. I'm not exactly sure, but it may have been that night as well. That is also next on my list, by the way, is that the matchup itself, it had such grandeur to it. It actually felt as if it meant something. You really had a chance, or they did a good job of convincing you that the WWE may actually go away as a result of the fallout of this matchup. Paul Heyman's reaction at the end of the night, by the way, was priceless. The match was over. He took the headsets off and just sat there and looked shocked and never said another word. And JR was rubbing it. That was great time. I don't even know if that's still Attitude Era. That was just a great time in WWE because everything had genuine
you could
emotion
call that
behind
the
it.
end of the Attitude that day. Because with WCW gone, there was no more Attitude, really.
He admitted it. That's a great first step.
Hey, the first step in recovery is admitting you have a problem.
Dave Hero, your choice.
You
Your
know
third
what?
choice.
I really enjoyed the Survivor Series where all the winners went into the main event, where Hogan, Warrior, and Tito Santana came out on top
With the flying burrito.
with the flying burrito. I thought that was it. For me, that was fun. Hogan and Warrior together, always electricidad.
Meathead, you're next.
We got 2 more, right? This one and the next one? Well, just the Survivor Series itself. I mean, the fact that, in 1988, from the Richfield Coliseum, as Damian will let you
And
know.
89.
And 89. The fact that they were having these big, elimination 4, 5-man team matches, I thought that was just cool. And they created this pay-per-view as a way to keep the Hogan-Andre thing,
Well, it
continually
was also
going.
a way to give everyone a payday, too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have 5 tag teams, you have the Killer Bees, the Bulldogs, the Bolsheviks, the Hart Foundation,
Mhm.
the Young Stallions, Demolition, I mean, the Rougeaus.
Right. I mean, it wasn't live
was
at that
great
point. It
wrestling.
was taped.
That was live on pay-per-view.
It was broadcast, even though it was taped previous. It was
Really?
taped, yeah.
Did
Dude,
show
it was
live?
the Wednesday night delight or the Thanksgiving tradition.
It started as the
it
Thanksgiving
was
night tradition,
live
then
on-
it was
yeah,
the
it was live on
Thanksgiving
pay-per-view.
Eve
I don't
tradition.
think that first pay-per-view was live.
You're
though.
going to be wrong.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter at
Possibly.
the time.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me.
And believe me, they will let you know, too.
It didn't matter, and you know what?
Oh, the peeps.
The Peeps.
Back then, it was a spoiler-free nation.
Well, not unless you called the 900 numbers.
1-900-909-9900.
Call me now. Next for me would be, I would have to say Undertaker's debut in 1990. While the match ended in a countout, and while the match was against the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes,
The Dweem?
it was still the beginning of who knew that, 19 years later,
He would be the man that he is.
Yeah, and that The Undertaker, who was with Brother Love at the time, would be such a huge star. And that was the beginning of it right there in 1990 at the Survivor Series.
I never would have thought that gimmick would have lasted this long.
Absolutely.
You know?
You were thinking that too?
Well, but
Is
for
it the
me,
longest lasting gimmick in wrestling? I can't think of one
I
that's
mean, it's been
longer.
tweaked a little, but it's still the same premise.
At its core.
but for me, I also enjoy Undertaker versus Kurt Angle when Brother Eric was under the ring.
Eric Bishop?
No,
Oh,
Eric Angle.
Mm-hmm.
That was it was the following year from Bret Hart.
No, the following year from
Montreal?
the Bret Hart was the Mankind Rock one, too.
Okay, so then shortly after that, or a few years after that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean Eric Angle, Kurt Angle, Undertaker.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about this again.
Is that listed? Is that next? Have you gone? Is
I
that
got it
your-
right there on my list.
All right, I'm just asking so I can keep track here. Check marks and such.
And again, we talked
I don't have a
about.
pen. I
We
can't
got
check anything
Al
off.
and Jesse waiting at the door to speak to the two of you about your.
And again,
Dialogue.
we talked about this in pre-tape, but I believe one of the following years after that, Edge at a Survivor Series kind of did the same thing when he introduced the Edge heads, or Hawkins and Ryder dressed up as Edge. Hawkins and Ryder,
Hawkins.
whatever.
Well, it's like,
What
That's
I
been
will not
Wolf.
do is mention for the
Yeah.
next 3 years how he failed to put a G on that because you don't care.
But anyway, the Edge heads, they all dressed up alike. They all wore the same gimmick.
Zack Ryder?
Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins.
Your top
And,
moment.
and you know, and
No,
they,
that's not my top one.
and
That
they
was
all
two.
stole that
asking.
from WCW, Barry Windham,
Say that. It didn't steal anything.
Okay. Georgia Championship
When they
Wrestling.
bought it, they bought that from.
No. You're forgetting. It was Sting versus Sid. And then Barry Windham came out dressed.
saw it.
Really?
I didn't watch.
Barry Windham came out dressed as Sting. That's how the whole thing started. With these,
Well, that and the
Identical.
Japanese NWO Sting and all that other stuff. And
Your top Survivor Series moment, Meathead.
my top moment, the screw job. It's got to be. Again, in pre-tape, we talked about, do we want to really be that cliche and make that the top moment?
Well, why
But
so?
it is. It's the most significant out of anything that's happened in the wrestling business at that
No.
pay-per-view.
the
Absolutely.
most significant.
No, I'm not done talking.
Don't get hot about it.
Oh, I got hot there. No, it's the most significant because what it did was it changed wrestling from what it was to what it is. To where we changed
Okay.
it from what it was to what it is. It brought wrestling from behind the curtain out into the ring. Dave Hero and your little crappy gimmick, go ahead.
The most important moment in Survivor Series history was what we were all waiting to die to find out what it was. What was in that damn eggshell? That gobbledygooker. So you can take
1990 as well. And me and Gene dancing with them all over the
take your screw
arena.
job. I'm taking
Oh.
the gobbledygooker.
Oh, wow.
Now you understand, Dave, that underneath here where all the comments are, they're going to say, well, at least we can hear a Hero now because he's got the mic in his hand.
Oh, gosh almighty. All right. For me, it would
Brother
be
Damien.
the screw job for the reasons that are obvious. It was so wrong. And it was so wrong that they ended up in that situation and that they, the company, and he, Bret Hart, allowed the situation to get to that point. That it's not a favorite moment, but it is a substantial moment. It made Mr. McMahon, Shawn Michaels, obviously took some heat from that as well.
Hell,
in
even
the fans'
Earl Hebner.
eyes.
It
It was
changed the
just,
business.
it did, and you'll never forget the things that happened on that pay-per-view. Brett throwing things, and at the end, I mean, nobody knew, and knowing nobody knew, when you watch it now, it puts things in, I think, a greater perspective. That why else would Shawn Michaels get an escort by Gerald Briscoe back to the back immediately following the match? The loogie to Vince's eye, which was clearly broadcast. JR's complete disagreement with it, yet public support of it on air. Tone said a lot more than his words. So much happened at the event itself, and then subsequently following. Brett screwed Brett.
And then the Wrestling with Shadows about a year and a half
I had
later.
a mild concussion, and I let Brett hit me. That's what Vince said.
Brett
Oh, yeah.
clocked him.
And then Brett goes to WCW.
He leans into it.
Well, I gotta talk to my microphone here. And then they killed WCW shortly after.
Yeah, Brett was sent over to kill it. Damien, wrap this thing.
Those are our top 5 Survivor Series moments. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in to the Survivor Series this Sunday night. We'll be tweeting
Tweeting
those
results.
updates as they
I
happen.
won't be
along with
because
our
mine don't get
comments and thoughts.
retweeted.
Because anyways, who cares? Yeah, bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.